What is going on, everyone? It's your boy PTK Blam back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast. How is everybody feeling? Episode 210. We are back live with another phenomenal guest. But before you notice, as you guys can see, Stag is not with us today. Had a bit of an emergency, man. So shout out to you, Stag, man. Hope everything works out for your brother. I'm sure everybody in the chat, man. If you can stop by later on, do so, man. But shout out to Stag, man. Won't be here this week, but we'll see him next week, man. But we do have our other horsemen as part of the panel. We have a phenomenal guest here for the first time. But before we introduce anybody, make sure you guys run up the like button, subscribe if you have not already. We do appreciate the love, support every single week you guys bring here to the channel. Retweet that link. Let everybody know the Shop Podcast is live. We do this gaming thing every week. If you want to talk to some real gamers, some people that have some knowledge, some people that have fun, come holler at us here at the Shop Podcast, man. But let's just dive right into it, man. We'll start with our guest of the hour. So this gentleman, I actually recently became a fan of his, but he has great content on YouTube. I made sure I put all of his information in the description below. Please check him out, man. But Kev, go ahead and give yourself a shout out. Let everybody know where they can find you, brother.
Hey, appreciate the shout out. Of course, the name GloriousKev. You can find me on Twitter at twitter.com/GloriousKev or also on YouTube.com/GloriousKev. I talk games, of course, do game streams generally every weekend, though I'm not going to do much this weekend. Playing a bit of everything. Of course, right now, though, playing through the Mass Effect Legendary Edition.
Nice, man. Shout out to having you here. Thank you for taking some time out, man. We know you got a busy week.
Thank you for having me.
Do a lot. Oh, not a problem, man. We appreciate you on, man. Once again, you guys go check him out. If you're a fan here of the Shop Podcast, please do me a favor. Go check out his content as well. All his information is in the description below. Go follow him, man. So chat, you guys know what to do. Run it up over there. Get that man some subscriptions, man. Check out his awesome and amazing content. So let's dive right in here to our horseman, man. We'll start with you, Pong, Mr. 7 shows a week, man. He's running around like Steve Harvey.
Come on, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that every week now. I'd be dead by this point.
I'm just playing, man. I'm just joking. No, but man, you're all over the place. But I do enjoy the content, man. But let everybody know what's cooking up with you, Pong.
It's only 4 PTK. Come on.
Look at
on a regular. let's put it that way. No, man. Obviously, Saturday night. Great to be here. Great to see my regular brothers in the house, Centurion and Fuzzy. Phenomenal to have another great guest here in Kev. So great to do a show with you, sir. I can't wait to hear some of your thoughts and opinions on our just crazy awesome topics, even though there wasn't a whole lot going on this week. So can't wait to get down into this. Stag, hope everything's going okay, brother. I can't wait to see you next week, man. But chat, great to see you all here, and let's get down to business, PTK.
Let's dive in, man. You know, we got a lot to cover today, man. It's been a big week, man. But let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Centurion. How you been, brother? What's been cooking up with you this week?
Oh man, what has not been cooking up? I know I have been working a lot. I've been trying to get a little bit of gaming in between. The only thing I have been playing though is Mass Effect Legendary Edition. Totally reliving that game. I'm actually having a blast doing it. My opinion, it looks really nicely done. I can definitely pick up on the definitely better frame rate from the original game for sure. But other than that, man, I am ready for a great show. We're gathered here tonight with all my friends and family, including a new guest member. Really nice to meet you, Kev. And yeah, who's not ready for tonight? But I just do have one request.
Yeah.
Can we plan a podcast one day where we just do the whole thing as Elcor?
Yes.
Could you imagine having to actually describe your emotions before you actually speak?
I object. I don't want to learn. I don't want to have to learn how to talk like that. Okay,
we're not doing that. Absolutely not.
Oh my god.
Absolutely. I'm making an executive decision, and I am vetoing that idea.
Well, if we were on a PlayStation podcast, all of a sudden it'd be like ignorant bull crap about to fly out of my mouth. Blah 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 blah.
Oh, be nice.
I know I'm being nice. Here. I know I'm being nice.
But shout out to you for hanging out, Centurion, man. Appreciate you every single week, brother, man. Once again, go check Centurion out too. You know, videos cooking up. So we appreciate you here every week, brother. And last but not least, smoothing it out, Mr. Cognac, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere. How you been this week, brother?
Oh, too much cognac.
Too much cognac. I think the mic done froze up on Fuzz over there.
Mike's still
Did he,
muted
like-
on my brother.
Yeah, he's still muted.
himself.
Okay. Well, hopefully Fuzz will get that situation together, man. But you guys know who Fuzz.
Sorry
there
about
he is.
that.
Wait, there he is.
No cognac just yet, but yeah, kind of misstepped on the mute button because I'm up here drinking my pink lemonade, and yes, it's virgin
sure.
pink lemonade.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Fuzzy.
okay.
Well,
So,
can I
all right.
have one thing real quick? I always hear all these jokes about Fuzzy falling asleep, but I've never actually seen him fall asleep.
Oh, you got to try gaming with me after like
Oh, yeah.
10 p.m. or after the show. It's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I'm gonna log in, and it's like,
And then he hits me up at like 11 o'clock, like, "Hey, you gaming?"
Or like,
See-
you go.
well, I'm on the East Coast, so it's a little bit of time difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, I sometimes I try to game until 2 or 3, and then other times it's like, 11 o'clock, I'm sitting still. I'm out.
Yeah.
So
But we're glad to have you here, live bodied and awake, brother, every single week, man. We appreciate you, man. But go ahead.
I'm just hoping he's not sipping that cognac while playing Forza.
no
drinking and driving.
Dude,
Yeah, we
although I've been known to drift into barriers on occasion, but yeah,
They reward you for that on Horizon. It's okay.
yes.
All right, man. Well, let's go ahead and dive in. We got some amazing topics. It's already been a lit show, man. We having so much fun bringing that energy up. I'm gonna give a couple quick shout outs, man, to people in the chat. Shout out to Psycho Knots Ashtray. What's up, brother? My brother from down under. What's up, Matt Burns, man? We got Zinc here, Shonsu, Mod of the Year, man. Everybody hanging out live in the chat. And if you're watching, get in the chat and hang out. You know, it's the best place to be in the Shop Podcast. But let's dive right in, man. So we always start with the poll of the week every single week on my Twitter every single Monday. So follow me. All of that information is in the description below. Shout out to you. I think it's a Rodimus. Shout out to you, brother. What's up, Blue, as well. But yeah, poll of the week, man. We doing a damn thing. So follow me on Twitter. Poll of the week Monday. We talk about it here every Saturday. But this week was with recent news about WB games possibly being back up for sale. If you could pick one to purchase, which one would it be and why? So just one of the multiple different studios WB Games owns, essentially. We got NetherRealms, Rocksteady Studios, Avalanche Software, Monolith Production. So the favorite was NetherRealm. They did win 44%. Rocksteady was next, 38%. The other two, Monolith and Avalanche, far behind, 10 and 8% respectively. So we're starting with you, Kev. We're going in cold. Cold, no warm-ups. We're going in cold. Out of those four options, which one would you choose and why, Kev?
NetherRealm, because Mortal Kombat.
That's
There's
it.
nothing else. Mortal Kombat and Injustice. That's enough.
So I should have threw a loophole because the whole idea about the licenses and things like that, because you can buy the studio and not get the license, but I don't want to do that. So just for hypothetical sake, we're saying the licenses stay. So NetherRealm for you, and the biggest reason just Injustice and Mortal Kombat, right?
Yep. Yeah. Like if we're losing the licenses, then I would say Rocksteady because of what they did with Batman. Like so I believe you could throw them on a different IP, and they've shown what they can do with Batman. Just think of that they could do with, like I say, a new IP.
Oh yeah, it as far as translate over to another game, like it seems like what they do well is easier to translate. Rather, NetherRealm strictly makes Mortal Kombat. They strictly makes fight. That's it. They don't do anything else.
Yeah,
so.
they make amazing fighting games.
Exactly.
I think Mortal Realms they did do back in the day on the original Xbox and PS2.
The
My
RPG,
favorite Mortal Kombat,
the RPG,
the Shaolin Monks. Yes.
Yeah.
I would love to see them make another game like that. Something like Sleeping Dogs.
Oh,
Throw NetherRealm on something like that. I think they could do that, and it translates over from Shaolin Monks amazingly.
Man, that was left field. That wasn't even in a stadium. That idea, I never even considered that. I forgot they actually did make an RPG back in the day. Man, that slipped my mind.
It was fire.
Yeah, it was really good. It was so I like that. I figured that would be the heavy favorite just because of the pedigree. I mean, first of all, a studio like NetherRealm doesn't become a free agent very often. You don't even get the opportunity to buy them very often, like a studio of their caliber. So just the fact that they could possibly end up underneath someone is a crazy proposition. But I'm with you on that one, man. I'm with you on that one. So let's actually throw this over to you, Pong. I'm curious, Pong, because there's so many damn good options, man. Those are four good choices, and I know you're a bit of you like a little bit of variety. You're a man of variety. So
I am.
really pinpoint who you would choose, but go ahead, brother.
All right. So, well, I took this as if we were losing the licenses. So I took it from that standpoint. So I said Rocksteady for a lot of the reasons that Kev just highlighted, which was the simple fact that I think they could translate into another game real easily. So you could create an IP, an original IP, or take an established IP, give it to Rocksteady, and I think they would do wonders with that from a third party kind of action adventure game. Use their, obviously their specialty is their fighting within the fighting techniques that they develop within the game, and I think they could create something extremely special and do wonders with anything that was thrown their way. I think they're just, from that standpoint, I think that was why I chose them. Now, NetherRealms, I had a hard time with this one because NetherRealms, even though everybody says they are just, Mortal Kombat and Injustice, again, fighting devs themselves are so rare these days that I think the value in NetherRealms is there with or without the IP, because you give them Killer Instinct. And we know Ed Boon loves Killer Instinct, and he's going to do the same thing he did with Mortal Kombat, the same thing he did with Injustice, and he's going to create one of the top tier fighting games
and
out
the big
there.
thing here, Pong, not to cut you off, Pong, the big thing here is the passion he takes behind fighting games in general. The passion, he's really like, that's really his shit. So not everybody's going to have the same kind of passion he is. He understands how people, that genre in particular, and he connects with the fans. He gets it.
Yep, exactly. And I think the team that he's built there is something special. I think he's got the mix of people that he wants around him, that he needs around him to get and understand his vision. And I think they all share that passion. And that's rare to find in a dev when it comes to something that's been going on for as long as NetherRealms has been, and the actual quality IPs that they've produced all these years. So I think the value for NetherRealms is right there with Rocksteady. Like I said, I just chose Rocksteady because I think you could give them anything, and they would do well with it, just because of their pedigree at the end of the day. Yeah.
No, absolutely. I think and that's kind of what Kevin said as well. Just the versatility of Rocksteady. You can see them. That Batman translates to a lot of different games, like those mechanics, like the character, just the story, the world they built. That translates to so many IPs.
Microsoft goes out and gets like Spawn or gets Blade as an IP and gives it to Rocksteady. It's on. I mean, that's it. You got yourself a Game of the Year type contender out of that.
Oh, come on. We know that, man. So many talented. None of these, let's just disclaimer, none of these studios have a lack of talent, by the way. None of the four. I know there's the majority are going to lean towards the two bigger ones, the two obvious ones, but Monolith as well as the other one. And that was what the hell did I choose? Avalanche, phenomenal studios as well, make great games. So
throw Avalanche on Crackdown 4.
That would be awesome.
Remember, these are the Just Cause guys.
You're giving away free ideas, Kev. You realize that, right? Like, you can charge for this stuff, right? Like,
we do that all the time on the show, PTK. I swear.
What are we doing?
You can't.
I don't know.
Avalanche is also doing Second Extinction right now, so there's a lot of yeah, that's Avalanche.
Yes,
I didn't realize. I wasn't big on Second Extinction. I didn't care for it.
Avalanche has got like a couple of different little mini studios. They did the.
If you want to see that
one,
if you want to see the
robots
first
and stuff.
Like, did anybody here play Generation Zero?
That's it. Yeah,
that one right there. Yeah, Generation Zero. You want to see Second Extinction in like beta? Go play Generation Zero.
That's pretty much what it is. So, but either way, we're speaking of you, Centurion. We're gonna go ahead and throw this over to you, bro. Out of the four options, great segue, by the way. Appreciate that. We're gonna throw this to you, bro. But out of the four options, which one did you choose, Centurion?
Well, I guess I got to step up to the plate, brush it off. I wanted to spin NetherRealm here. I'm wanting to go on the premise that out of all the licenses that could stay intact, we're talking about Mortal Kombat. In my opinion, a franchise that really had its roots in gaming before it was ever on the big screen. So I think that it should really stay in gaming and not be considered like an actual piece of like big screen entertainment. But if by some chance it does go away, let's also think about what NetherRealm could do with like the Halo characters. We could see Halo, Master Chief versus the Arbiter, Atriox. We've seen the flexibility in NetherRealm with Mortal Kombats of past with Jason Voorhees being put in and
Terminator,
Michael Myers.
Predator.
We've seen Alien, Predator.
Mhm.
This next iteration, we've seen Rambo,
Terminator.
RoboCop, Terminator, Spawn. I mean, there's a lot. It just goes to show the flexibility of NetherRealm. And I really, like Pong Soul was saying, there's a lot of value in a developer that actually can do a really damn good fighter. And I really feel that there is enough IP out there in the Microsoft universe and also in the entertainment universe, because who would not want to sign up to have an iconic character immortalized in the video game world for a fighting game? So I'm pretty sure there's also some studios out there that don't have to use WB characters, because I believe RoboCop and Rambo, one of the main reasons why they were used is because they're also licensed under WB, so it was very easy to get them in the game. But that's where I'm pretty sure there's other companies out there that would sign up at the chance to have a chance to have one of their characters put inside a game to basically have a resurgence of that character. So the sky's the limit with NetherRealm, in my opinion, especially with just what the flexibility that they have and what can be done.
Awesome. I love that choice. NetherRealm is such a I think to me they're the crown jewel out of the studios because of those very reasons and because of how rare and consistent they've been. And you don't get they're the top tier. I mean, is MK the biggest fighter out right now? I mean, outside of like, Smash
let's
Brothers.
Not even talk about you might have something with Smash Brothers, but I want to walk out, and if you were to go out right now and pull 100 people just randomly walking down the road, what's up?
It definitely. I mean, Street Fighter took a bit of a hit.
Oh yeah, well that's why I just try to say, like, it's kind of like Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Whether you watch wrestling, watch movies, or don't even do any of that, you know who this dude is. And just like Mortal Kombat, whether you've watched the movies or you've played the games or not, you still know what Mortal Kombat is.
No, good point.
If nothing else, you know who Scorpion and Sub-Zero are.
Yeah,
exactly.
Great point. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Fuzz. Get your quick opinion before we switch lanes here, man. Once again, shout out to everybody watching live, man. You guys are bringing the energy. And once again, chat, these questions are for you. So let us know what you guys think about the questions, man, the topics, and give us that feedback. We love to interact with you guys, man. Shout out to everybody watching live. Retweet that link. Super chat is open as well. If you guys do want to, donate to the show, that's always awesome. Everything goes back into the show. What's up, Smitty? See you sliding in here, brother. Salute to you as well, man. But last but not least, go ahead, Fuzz, man. Out of the four, which one did you choose?
Well, it was really a tough one, and this is before even Kev dropped the idea about as far as having Avalanche do something like Crackdown 4, which that to me would be an awesome idea right there. I mean, considering what they did with the Just Cause series and the chaos that you create in that game alone, that would be an awesome transition. But I was thinking, if you were to have it with the IPs, hands down, Rocksteady. I think even without the IPs, their Batman combat that you even see in games like Mad Max and stuff, it works, and it's pretty much like the standard or the go-to for non-sword based or non-gunplay based type combat or hand-to-hand combat. Yep. So I would say Rocksteady, especially if you get the IPs because of the whole Batman universe, that would be an awesome get. But if we're talking no IPs whatsoever, you just get the talent. I mean, all of them are great selections, but then I lean more towards Monolith, or I'm sorry, not Monolith, NetherRealm, as far as for a fighting game. Because I've said this before, and I honestly wish I know a lot of people didn't really gravitate towards Bleeding Edge, but take those same characters and put them in like a Killer Instinct or some sort of fighting, like hand-to-hand, like just versus. Instead of the team battle setup, just do it as versus characters, and I think you have a nice new set of characters that people can build upon or follow as that series goes on. So having something like NetherRealm under the umbrella and everything, and have it where they can turn pretty much any characters or any main story characters from your entire list of IPs into fighters, kind of in, a la Smash Brothers fashion. I'm not the combat aspect, but just imagine having like, whether you have Master Chief or you have any of the other characters throughout any of the Microsoft IPs in that game.
Able to get that fight finally between Master Chief and Locke.
Yeah, Master Chief and Locke, or Doom Guy, or just the whole range of characters that they have.
I never thought about it. They own Bethesda now. I could never imagine the Doom Guy, the Doomery as a more. Oh my god!
Wait, you missed all the memes? All the memes of the Doom Guy and Master Chief. I as far as I'm concerned, Doom Guy is now the official mascot of Xbox.
Yeah. I mean,
that's Chief, sacrilegious. That's sacrilegious. We're not having that, Kev.
I love Halo.
We're not having that, Kev.
But Doom Guy's more iconic.
No. He's
Doom isn't more iconic than Halo?
He's been around longer.
No. He's been around longer. That's it. That's not the same thing. That's not the same thing. Those are two different. But anyway, I don't want to hijack this topic. I don't want to hide. We'll talk about this afterwards, Kevin. Me and you have a one-on. No, I'm just playing. No, but I appreciate you, Kevin. Go ahead, Phil. I didn't mean to hijack. Go ahead.
No, but I still think if the IPs aren't coming along, NetherRealm is the go-to. Like I said, they can take any group of characters. You could just have them just draw up random new characters, and I think it would be a top tier fighter. Just the level of control and things like that they do, and the level of detail that they put into the characters, I think that would carry that, whatever new series that would be. Rocksteady, like I said, if the IPs come along and hey, now Xbox has its own superhero with the whole Batman universe, that in itself would be the ultimate get, I would think, as far as for that studio. But when you got Monolith and you got Avalanche, I mean, even with Avalanche, didn't they also do a little bit of
Rage
with like the car combat aspect of it? So you can't go wrong with any of them, but I'm just going to lean between Rocksteady and NetherRealm.
All right, and this is a good warm up. You guys know the first poll of the week. Go ahead.
PTK, there was one thing I wanted to show you real quick. Do you mind if I read somebody's thing out of the chat?
Go ahead.
I like what Kay Asante said, and he is right, man. This Mortal Kombat is so iconic, it's actually changed gaming history. Mortal Kombat is the reason that ESRB was created.
True.
Facts.
True.
Because back then they were only doing green blood on the Super Nintendo version. You were getting green blood.
The downfall of Nintendo, right there.
Yep. There you go. Green blood. Didn't even realize it. If you're not old enough, YouTube it. I promise you'll find it.
I just want to add, Doom was part of the reason too. It was a combination.
We're not doing this, Kev. We're on to the next subject. All right, new topic, guys. Yay!
PTK, you invited this guy. Look,
I think I see the next poll of the week, man. Kev. Doom Marine or Master Chief.
Yes. See what you've done, Kev? No, man.
I'm just mad that Doom Eternal got snubbed at the VGAs. That's all. I'm still hurt by that.
Yeah,
it's okay. Don't use Master Chief at the expense. All right.
Hey, Halo is one of my most anticipated games of the year. Okay.
Hey, so it was snubbed at the Game Awards, right? So that means it was treated like an authentic Microsoft IP.
Oh, here you go. Jesus Christ. Here you go. All right, we moving on. All right, let's go ahead and get to the next topic, man. We're gonna be talking a little bit about WB Games and the possibility that they're up for sale. This is something that happened last year. There was actually they actually attempted to be purchased. There were a couple different developers or publishers, a couple different companies, Xbox, Sony, that we had heard about potentially making a bid for WB Games. And this time around, things are a bit different. It's due to a merger this time, rather than just AT&T saying we're trying to sell off a piece of the company and clear up some of our debt. So just want to talk about, we just kind of talked about it a little bit, but just kind of want to get into that. And we'll start with you, Kev, just about the idea that this could possibly happen again. Now, we may not get into the nitty gritty, which is like, are the licenses going to be transferable and all of that? We're playing fantasy baseball. If this happens, where are we at, Kev? And don't even include like who's going to get the actual, IPs or studios, just the prospect of this actually happening though.
I could see it. I was looking into this earlier today, and I was surprised by just how much AT&T owns. Because when I was reading, they said it was something about them getting Discovery. I'm like, why would Discovery Channel and, their gaming division even be a problem? Like, they're two different spectrums. But they said that's going to be too much. I don't see I don't know how to touch on this without saying who's going to end up with the studios. I don't think Microsoft can do it. I think they'll get blocked. Truthfully, after the Bethesda deal, I don't see that. This would be like Bethesda 2.0. Obviously not as big as Bethesda, but still another high profile studio.
Well, I mean, if they're so last time, I think it was all or nothing. The first time last year, I think it was you're going to get all of these studios, or you're not getting none of them. This time, the potential could be maybe pieces. Maybe you can maybe have your choice of the studio. Is kind of where I'm going. I don't know if it's exactly like that. I don't know the details, but just from my assumption, I don't know if it's all or nothing this time, because I think that's what it was last year as far as how AT&T was presenting it. Like you got to buy the whole WB games or you're not getting anything.
With that said, then I'd like to see Microsoft pick up Avalanche, Rocksteady, and NetherRealm.
Okay. The crown jewels, I think, of the actual devs there, actual studios.
I want a good Crackdown game. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right, nothing wrong with that, man. All right, no. Listen, it can happen, man. We're playing fantasy baseball here, man. You never know, chat. Let us know what you guys think about this as well, chat. Just about the proposition of this potentially happening. So let's throw this over to you again, Pong. Where you at with this, man? Where you at with just the idea? This is coming up again. We're here again.
Of course we are. Of course we are. We knew it was going to come up again after the last time anyways, because we knew AT&T was going to have to do something with these studios. Now, this is a convoluted mess. And
it is. It really is.
First of all, I feel absolutely awful for the devs that are stuck kind of in limbo at this point. We don't know for sure. They don't know for sure what's going to happen. We're seeing, the VP of Monolith just left this month to go form that new studio with EA, which we're going to talk about. And so it's left a lot of people up in the air. And so, looking at it, of course, I would love to see Microsoft and Xbox step in and obviously keep these studios together, keep these people's jobs healthy, and be the savior for, another dev. ZeniMax wasn't in the best place either, and we might have lost Arcane had Xbox not stepped in. So obviously, I'd love to see him step in, swoop up the whole thing, and call it a day, IPs or not. I think there's so much talent there, and I think there's plenty of new ideas, fresh ideas to go around, and I think that they could find work for every single person in there. But if we are going to pick and choose, obviously NetherRealms, again, Ed Boon has stated his absolute love for Killer Instinct, and he would drop everything to work on a new Killer Instinct game. So that's a perfect fit right there. Then I think you bring in Rocksteady for all the reasons I talked about in the beginning. I think they fit right in. You can slot them in, let them finish developing their current projects, but then move them over to some brand new, fresh IP, whatever the case. Microsoft goes and picks up a license from whatever you want to, and they just keep on moving right along and making hit after hit after hit. And then I think for myself personally, Monolith, what they did with Middle Earth
Nemesis system, man, that thing is insane.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I want Microsoft to own the Nemesis system because it's underutilized right now. And now that they have actually got it so that it is theirs 100%, then I think you swoop in, you grab up that whole team, because again, they prove themselves, obviously with the Lord of the Rings games that they produce, that they can also come up with one hell of an idea when it comes to an IP, because they took that franchise somewhere else that a lot of people didn't think it could go. They came up with a brand new system, which is now their part of their IP. And I think that you bring them in and you find something for them to work on instantly. I think they're the odd man out right now with this whole mess that's going on. I think they're kind of more in limbo than most of the other teams besides maybe the Lego guys. Those two are at risk right now, I think, of being lost, disbanded, closed down at the end of the day if things go sideways here, which it really easily could. So I think I'd just like to see Monolith continue on because I think they have so much talent and they could find something else to work on and make it happen. So those are my picks.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong. And don't forget the Harry Potter game as well that Avalanche is working on.
Mm-hmm.
So
You
the
mentioned
Hogwarts.
you mentioned the Nemesis system.
Uh
I had a light bulb go off.
huh.
Nemesis system. Throw it in Pillars. Throw it in Fallout or like Pillars of Eternity.
Yeah, you could. You could
Like,
branch off. You could create a
Stop.
whole new
Kev,
series.
Stop. Kev, stop. All right, stop. We're giving away. Kev, come on.
I just dropped bombs.
Kev, keep your hat on. All right, just leave your hat on. We can take it off once we're off the show. No, but I'm bugging with you.
Hey,
but,
Kev, wait. How about we just create a spin-off game with Doom Guy, and he's got to fight all the Spartans in the Nemesis system.
Okay. You guys are killing me.
Red or blue?
All of them. Just put them all in there.
Forget Speculation Town. We have left that place.
Does that mean after you off one and they come back, the visor's all cracked up,
Right,
and like
exactly.
the armor's got like some patchwork on it?
He's
The
pissed
voice
off
sounds
at
a
you.
little raspier.
He's chasing you in a mongoose, but the engine's rattling because you don't fuck this shit up.
All right. Well, I don't want to cut you off, Pong. Were you?
Yeah, no, sir. I'm done.
Okay. All right. Cool. So we're gonna actually flip the script here. We're gonna go ahead and throw this over to you, Fuzz. Just the idea. We're like I told Pong, we're here again. This seems to be something. I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire, and AT&T is definitely trying to offload some debt. They're definitely trying to figure out a way to offload debt. So this proposition is coming up once again. Where are you at with this time, no Fuzz?
I mean, considering AT&T wants to get back to what they do well and just sell phones and products and things like that, I totally understand this whole hodgepodge, offloading to Discovery. But I really hope Microsoft can, get to the front of the line as far as the negotiations on at least getting maybe 2 or 3 other studios out of the group if they can't get all of them. We talked about it with the poll of the week. I definitely want them to get NetherRealm. I mean, NetherRealm is the one that right now I don't think has as much cachet for what they're looking to earn money off of. Yes, the game makes a lot of money, but as far as from a licensing standpoint, I don't think that's something that they can kind of constantly dip into that piggy bank like they can with some of the movies and things like that. So I don't know if they're going to want to hold on to that because of the cost versus, or cost and production versus the overall sales type of thing, because of licensing being involved. Even though they own the licensing, it's not as big of a, in-pocket profit in comparison. So NetherRealm, I think, is the one that's probably going to be offloaded. And I'm hoping that, Microsoft is there, with their checkbooks open and ready to go to grab that one up, as well as the other ones if they can. But with Rocksteady, I think at least for the next year or so, they already got a lineup of games, whether it be, the Batman group one that they have, where it's not even Batman, it's basically all of the other characters within that universe in their own game, as well as the Suicide Squad game. I think those themselves, since those licenses are already reserved for those games, and I doubt they're going to pull any plugs on it since there's already development time and costs involved, they're just going to look to cash out on those. So those may not be up for grabs just yet. It may be a little bit of while before someone can technically grab those up, unless they're going to pay top dollar for licensing and all that good stuff, which they probably won't even get to keep the license. It'll just be the privilege of using that license for those 2 titles. As far as Avalanche, Avalanche is another one they need to grab up. But Avalanche with the whole Hogwarts thing, that might be another one that it may not be up for grabs for at least a year or so, because they're going to want to at least offload that game and get whatever they can to cash out as far as their development costs and things. But the Lego, was it WB Games part that does all the Lego stuff?
Yeah, Traveler's Tales.
Yeah, I mean, Microsoft could definitely use them because they're always looking for this family-friendly content creation, studio. I don't know how well they would transition with other IPs within the Microsoft, portfolio, but I think if you're looking for something that's family-friendly, they definitely are a group to look at. They do have the talent with all the Lego games that they've put out, and they've done well both with adults and kids. So
I always buy those games for some reason. Like when they go on sale, Like I don't know if you guys do that? Like, have you guys done that to any of the Lego games? Like, I'll randomly
stopped.
buy one.
Yes.
I stopped a while back, but
Bro,
yes, I do own a lot of them.
I do. I have like 5 of them. Like,
Yeah.
just
I know you
don't-
just one day you go check your digital library and you're just like, how in the F did I buy that many Lego games?
Yeah,
What the hell?
I don't even know.
I have kids and they like the Lego games, and that's always going to be my excuse. So I bought them on 360. Or I got a few off like a Humble Bundle deal.
Yeah, dude, I've got 2 cats and a wife, man. I don't got your excuse.
Yeah, no,
It was on sale and it was a Star Wars title, you know.
Exactly. There you go. There's your way
Exactly.
in.
Star Wars.
Star
I'm
Wars.
Forward
There
to
you go.
the Luke Skywalker saga remake, whenever the hell that happens.
Exactly. See, there you go. There's your way in. No,
There's
but
the
I didn't mean to hijack you there, Fuzz. Go ahead, brother. I
No,
just
but
want to throw that out there.
I just with things going the way they are, AT&T looking to cash out or cover some of their losses and whatnot. I think at least a couple of those studios are going to be up for grabs here pretty quick, and I think NetherRealm is going to be one of those that's pretty much up for grabs tomorrow, or at least within a short period of time. Unless they're going to all of a sudden try to use all the DC license stuff that they can to make an Injustice 3, which I don't know if that's in the works, but if it isn't already in the works, that's about the only way that they're going to hang on to NetherRealm for that much longer. Yeah, it's hopefully, fingers crossed, you know, all these studios find a good home here soon before their doors are closed, and you know, the Discovery Channel or whatever conglomerate mixture name that they're going to give it takes over, you know, takes the reins of their or controls their fate type of deal. That's all I got.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get this over before we switch lanes here again. Get this over to you, Centurion. Just get your quick opinion, man, on, you know, this coming back around. Like we told the other two, we're here again. And, you know, this time it may be a bit different, the terms and circumstances. But where you at just with the idea that this may be coming back around?
Wait, so I only get a quick opinion?
Here we go.
I'm like,
Okay, you're done. Next topic.
Yeah, you need to.
oh god! Right?
Damn, you made
Gonna
it.
say Pong
Pong
Soul
is
gets
fed up.
more
Pong is
time to
fed up.
advertise the 22 shows he's on. No.
Pong is fed up. He's done with it.
So, anyways, oh man. Okay, so I'm not gonna go on who I want to see, but I really want to see all these companies survive. At the end of the day, I'm a human being. I don't want to see nobody lose their job or their livelihood. And there is a lot of talent and a lot of livelihood and a lot of IPs inside this. So I really hope everything goes well. The only thing, I guess, a negative caveat is the fact that the first time that this company or WB came out and was like, hey, we want to sell, you know, these game companies, blah, blah, blah. There was a lot of excitement and interest, and there was a lot of value there. Everybody was speculating, like, you know, this franchise is worth this much, that franchise is worth that much, and there's this person and that person over there. And we were all talking about the value. I feel like that value may have been lost a little bit in translation, because now all of a sudden they're back saying, oh, well, looks like we might have to sell because we're actually a lot worse off than we hoped. And now it's pretty hard to kind of to hold value to something when you know somebody's in a position where they have to sell. This is a very screwed up situation. The situation itself has almost devalued some of these franchises and the studios around them, because who wants to get caught up in all the crap that could be waiting in the background? Because I mean, there is a lot of hot water right now. Like, regretfully, AT&T went out and spent all this money, grabbed up all the content they could, and then spent themselves into a hole, and they have no money left to basically do much with the content that they bought up. And now they're gonna potentially, like, I've seen somebody in the chat say piecemeal and, you know, do this and that. And like, this could turn out very horrible in the end. And the only thing I'm going to really speculate and hope for is that it really turns out good for us all in the end, and that we're not going to see a bunch of developers basically essentially have to go brush off their resumes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no, once again, I agree with you on a lot of different points. And first and foremost, you never want to see anybody lose, you know, their job ultimately. So, you know, thinking about the devs first, but yeah, there's a ton of talent, and everybody from Nintendo to Xbox to Sony can definitely utilize that talent. So, I'm sure all of them got eyes on what's going on, or at least Sony and Xbox. I don't know, Nintendo kind of do their own thing, but I know the other two kind of probably are monitoring that situation extremely close to see if there's any opportunity to get in and just snatch.
I'm pretty sure, like, if you could grab something for a good deal, go for it. But at the same time, we now got to think about that there could be like some stipulations or just some things that these companies aren't going to want to deal with tied to some of these projects, just because, maybe these deals weren't lined up right. And now there's a lot of red tape and other things that they're going to have to go through. And that's where anybody who buys up whatever they can from WB Games is going to have to weigh how much drama they're going to have to go through to potentially use some of this stuff.
But there's always a risk, and these companies know that.
Oh, yeah.
They're buying shit that, like, buying things is not foreign to them. So especially making large purchases is not foreign. So they'll weigh the risk versus the reward, and they'll figure it out whether or not it's worth it ultimately. So, but yeah, to keep things moving here, man, we're moving on. Shout out to Caitlin, shout out to Mike Sperling, shout out to She Snow, everybody hanging out here. I saw some other people. Kay Asante, my guy. Shout out to you hanging out here, man. Once again, run it up. Hit the like button, man. Let everybody know here we're live. Retweet that thing on Twitter, man. We're moving here. So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. So we're actually segueing on the EA. And it's actually not bad EA news this time around. It's actually two questions in one. One, as Pong mentioned, they are opening a brand new studio. One of the studio heads is the guy from VP from Monolith, I believe. And that studio is set to specifically, and these are per EA's words, to work on open world adventure games, which is interesting. But the real question is the recent change of attitude that EA has been taking with the studios, as far as letting the studios just be. They've taken that, and I think, and all credit to Respawn, because I think Respawn made EA realize we probably shouldn't tell these studios anything. We should probably just give them money and let them do what we bought them for. So I think Respawn's gotten EA to have this open idea, and now they're letting other developers, they said it about this new studio as well. They're just going to let them be and let them make their game. So I think that's the key thing here, the change that we're seeing with EA overall. So we'll start with you on this one again, Kev, the special guest here. Where you at on just the idea that EA may be loosening its stance and, obviously the new studio being created out there working on open world adventure games?
I want to start with, you just made me smile so big when you said EA is going to leave them alone.
Yes, they said that. Yeah.
Yes. Well, we were talking before the show, and I told you Mass Effect is my favorite IP. I love Dragon Age also, and we know Dragon Age 4 is coming. So
yes.
When I heard that put a big smile on my face. And I'm from Seattle, so I love studios in Seattle. But as far as them doing a whole open world big RPG or action game or action adventure game, I'm interested in what it is, but I want to see more. Is it a new IP? Is it an existing IP?
I think it's a brand new. I think it's going to be new. I don't think it'll be a remake or any sort of I don't know this. I'm not an insider, but I feel like it's going to be a brand new IP.
I think it might, but at the same time, do they still have the Kingdoms Amalur IP? I've heard it's gone through them, and I've heard it's gone through THQ.
I don't know. I have to do the
okay, because I'm thinking that's like the perfect solution. Because people have been screaming for a Kingdoms Amalur 2 for years, and they did the remaster more recently. But I'm interested. My eyes are definitely open. I don't know what to think about it, because it's a big nothing burger kind of. It's like, hey, they're opening a new studio. Awesome. Yeah. But we'll know more when we see that trailer. Give me something to gush over. The ball's in your court, EA. I agree. Let the studios create, because most of these studios are super duper talented. And after we see what happened with, say, Mass Effect Andromeda, and we saw Anthem, and we see what happens when EA puts their hands a little too deep in the cookie jar.
Star Wars, fucking for the last 20
Battlefront
years, up until Fallen Order, pretty much.
Yes, and we can totally see what happens when, of course, Vince Zampella, the man's a genius. Modern Warfare 2, we already know.
Everything he touches turn to gold. Man.
Right. I need Titanfall 3, because I feel like the only reason Titanfall hasn't succeeded.
Apex, man. That is Titanfall 3.
I want my Titans. I want my Titans, sir. I want my wall running back. And I'm not big on BR either. I'm terrible at the genre.
Yeah.
So there's that too. Yeah, totally interested, totally down, ready to see what they're doing, but I need more information before I have a real solid opinion on it.
All right, no, that's fair. That's fair. I think like I said, the bigger question is just a change of heart EA's had as far as like, and I think Vince Zampella and Respawn are absolutely the direct result of that. They've come in and completely changed the culture at EA. You know, they've carried EA because everything they've made has been phenomenal critically, and it's sold extremely well as well. So, and EA hasn't had that kind of success. EA has cemented themselves. Really, the only reason EA is around because we can't play and we can't get another football game anywhere else. Like, you know,
Hey,
so
don't sleep on the Sims Legion. The Sims Legion is huge.
That's true as well. No, they got some gems. They got a ton of IPs. So I'm missing a few. I'm obviously missing a ton, but you know, obviously the big money makers here. But either way, I do like to see the change of heart. You know, EA taking a different approach with their studios. So we'll keep this thing going. But let me go ahead and throw this over to you. We'll actually start with you on this one, Fuzz. Get your quick opinion on not only that studio opening up with the VP from Monolith, but just EA's just change their heart and how they're handling these devs.
I think Vince is the main guy that we need to thank as far as over in the EA side of things, as far as them loosening up on the actual control of the studios. Not really the control, but like the direction or vision for some of the games. I mean, I think he was one of the few that told them they can, you know, jump off a short bridge as far as when it came to the whole, you know, Frostbite engine. He was like, no, we're going to use Unreal. And that proved to show with Jedi Fallen Order that it was the right move. And I think they've kind of, you know, learned from that going forward. But having a new open world adventure studio would be great. I just wish they could have put that energy into Anthem 2.0, but that's nor here nor there. But overall, EA needs new blood or new vision instead of. I hate poking fun at CEOs with their golden parachutes and whatnot, and annual bonuses after closing stuff and whatnot. But EA needs some change, and hopefully the studio will be another foot in the right direction. Now, if only we can get like seasons out of the sports games as opposed to trying to make them annualize things where you still got the logos from last year in the stands and whatnot. Just do roster updates. I'll pay $30 a year for that. I'm not paying $60 a year or $70 a year for the same game just with slower mechanics or a fix that
new updates.
Yeah, I mean, just real updates would be nice. Or some of the stuff that they had when they actually had competition. You know, the stuff that they've been cutting over the past few years. But that's a whole nother story. But EA on the good front, I'm glad to see that they're opening up a new studio. I'm still concerned on what they're going to do with the whole what was the car group that they just took?
Codemasters.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to see how that pans out. I would love to see some more frequent, Need for Speed with a little bit more variety than they've done over the past couple. Although the past couple haven't been bad, it's just they need. I won't say more depth because that's what Forza Horizon's for, but they just need more, Need for Speed basically. But new studio, great. New direction, hopefully. Let's see how long it lasts. Because my gut's telling me EA is going to probably open a studio and close 3. So
here we go. We're trying to give EA an olive branch here. This is what this is. We're trying to give them a bit of an olive
branch. Is rotted and it hasn't been watered in decades. I mean, come on, EA. They brought this on themselves.
No, they have.
It's good that they're expanding, and let's hope that the expansion is successful, so they don't, take the closing hammer and start swinging that around.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, bounce this thing over to you, Pong. Where we at with this, man? This idea that EA is possibly changing their stances, letting these companies do what they bought them for, and that's allowed them just to use their talent to make games, as well as this new studio opening with the VP from Monolith and the open world adventure games kind of being locked in there.
Well, I think it's a culmination of a lot of different things. I'd like to know which one of them got visited by the ghosts of Christmas past and got scared enough that they woke up one day and decided that they needed to change, right? Because Again, I'll take a wait and see approach to this. Obviously, we can't forgive the sins of the past quite yet. We need to actually see how this is going to work. And like Fuzzy just said, I've heard some things from Codemasters saying that they've been told they're going to be allowed to do their thing, and they're going to be given the same freedom. So if all this is true, then all signs are pointing to a new EA. And I think that obviously Vince and his team at Respawn probably was a part of this. I think that they are seeing a lot of different publishers diversify their portfolios, because again, we're coming into the golden age of gaming. There's more money in this industry than ever before, and you don't want to limit yourself to just one area, even if that area is printing you money. And actually right now, I think a good portion of this is that they've built up, a solid stable with their sports franchises, which again, we can debate whether or not that's worthy of saying, but at the end of the day, it's making them money hand over fist, just like Activision has Call of Duty. And now they have a piece of the Battle Royale money as well with Apex. So I think that they've seen success in those areas, and now they want to diversify even more. And I'm sure they're looking over at what Ubisoft does on a yearly basis, with their style of games, and they're seeing a new opportunity. And I think that they want to make sure that they get in and have as many different different IPs as they can during this golden age of gaming, because there is more money to be made now than ever before. And I think you're stupid. And again, obviously looking at you, Activision, if you're going to focus all your teams on your one main franchise and not diversify, you're dumb. And I don't care how much that franchise is making. I'm looking at you too, Rockstar, with Grand Theft Auto. Again, if you're not going to take advantage of the situation when the times are the best they've ever been, then I don't know when you ever are. And so again, shout out to EA for doing this. I'm excited to see, obviously, the VP of Monolith, the guy, again, you heard my love for Monolith and what they did with Lord of the Rings. He obviously knows what he's doing now. He can build a team, hopefully get some talent in there, and then open up with, they're talking about an action adventure type title. Great, fantastic. I can't wait to see what it is, and where they go with it and what they plan on doing with it. Now, if it comes out and it's laden with microtransactions over the top, well, then we know it's the same old EA and we're back to square one again, right? So again, that's why I'm saying a wait and see kind of approach here. But I do like what I'm hearing out of EA. Maybe the relationship with Microsoft now is kind of rubbing off as well, right? They're seeing what Microsoft is building, right? And they're seeing that Microsoft is keeping this hands-off approach to all these, developers they're bringing in underneath their umbrella. Maybe EA is waking up a little bit. Like I said, maybe somebody just rolled over, woke up with cold sweats during a nightmare, seeing the demise of EA. Yeah.
If somebody pulled up in a, God forbid, if somebody hit them with a scared straight situation, somebody figured something out of EA and said, "Wait a minute, we're doing this backwards. We're swimming against the current. Why are we swimming against the current?" So
exactly.
I agree.
No. So I just think it's a good thing. I'll take a wait and see approach, but again, shout out to them for at least turning themselves, from an outside looking in, turning themselves in the right direction. And maybe a new kind of EA is dawning. Maybe the Star Wars thing woke them up. Maybe their investors were like, we've had the Star Wars license. Why do we have zero really big games out of Star Wars except for Fallen Order? Why is that the only game in all this time that we've had this that really was a commercial success? Why? We had one of the biggest IPs in the entire world and we squandered it away. Why did that happen? And maybe they looked at themselves and said, "Hey, we got to try something different here." So
I hope so. I hope so. And just to throw it out here, because we want to be, so Sony has the same approach as they don't really dictate their studios either. They kind of let them do what they do the best. So a lot that seemed to be the best way, obviously, to get the most out of your studios. Most creative people kind of want to be left to just be creative most times. So other than that, man, let's go ahead and get this over to you, Centurion. Get your opinion, man, on just where we at here, just where you're at with the idea that EA may be kind of switching their stance, loosening the reins a bit, not being so much Big Brother, kind of just doing what they supposed to do and just be the wallet and kind of be inspiration. So where you at on this, Centurion?
So I guess just put it simply, EA has to change with the times because we see times changing. EA has been accused of underage gambling, creating basically scratcher tickets for children with loot boxes. We're seeing a lot of politicians, both from around the world and multiple world governments, kind of turn their attention to and always using EA as the example. So EA realizes that they do have to diversify. They have to create different versions of revenue because their main source of revenue in these sports games could potentially have to change as certain laws change because, like for some reason, some of these politicians out there try to state that EA kind of helps instill gambling in the children and it grows up in their adult years. And then we have a bunch of adult gamblers. At least that's their logic. So I totally see why EA is doing this. They also see the success that Microsoft is having from purchasing Bethesda. The minute you mention Starfield, a single player experience in any crowd, everybody all of a sudden wants to hear more. I can't really think of any game. Like, don't get me wrong. These sports games and what EA does generates a lot of revenue, but I don't really hear a lot of people, shall I say, talking about these games. Yeah, I know they're playing them, but they're not really talking about it. It's just something that they do in between playing these single player experiences that seems to have everybody talking about, and they see this, which is why they're probably wanting to now double down on something that originally it was an EA executive that actually said that the single player experience was had no value to them.
I don't remember. I'm not 100% sure, but that might.
Yeah, I believe one of the main CEOs of EA came out and stated that the single player experience was not what gamers were looking for. They wanted that experience where you come in and there's always, I guess, games as a service. There's something always new, something always fresh, as he put it, and that the single player experience wasn't that.
I mean, that's there's enough room for all of it. Like anybody trying to shoehorn, video games into some small little pocket, that's not how it works. Video games is a creative genre. There's enough room for everything.
Yeah, and that's where forgive me not trying to go on a long-winded tangent, but that's where EA almost tried to slot machine the gaming industry, or at least their slice of it, by trying to somehow finagle microtransactions into everything, because they saw the success of microtransactions in a couple sports games, and all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, we got to put this in everything, when they realized it didn't belong everywhere. I mean, when they couldn't realize it didn't belong everywhere. So EA, I feel like, has almost been I gotta say, they've been in the way of themselves.
No, I agree.
And yeah, man, I just really hope times change. Real quick, I feel EA was one of the first videos I ever did as a content creator. And when I actually found out how many studios EA has closed, it gets really kind of surreal when you see some of the studios that they've closed. So when I heard Fuzzy talk about, hopefully they're not going to close a studio by opening a studio. Because like when EA kind of closed Visceral Games for me, that one was the first time I actually kind of cared that a studio was closed.
Yeah, that was horrible. So let's keep this thing moving, man. Great wrap up here. Great job, Centurion, man, on your topic there, man. So let's go ahead and keep things moving, man. Shout out to everybody watching live here. Appreciate you guys in the chat. Everybody locked in and hanging out with us, man. Hit the like button once again on your way in. We appreciate you guys. This last one, man, is actually a real fun one. I feel like this one may go on for a little bit. So we're talking a little bit of Summer Game Fest or E3. Now, the way I'm phrasing this question is because we're getting both this year. Now, we didn't know that. I don't think any of us knew we were still getting both. Especially once the ESA came out and said, hey, this is what we're planning on doing. But ultimately, at the end of the day, can these two coexist? Because I'm super excited about E3 being back, because I feel like consuming that information in one like 3 or 4 day spurt gives me more. I don't know. It just feels better for me, I guess, because I'm used to it, than the drawn out, month and a half long drip feed worth of information and news and all the kind of drawn out stuff, and then the smaller shows just for Xbox, just for Sony, just for Nintendo. So I love E3. Feels like the Super Bowl for me, and I get extremely excited for the Super Bowl. So we're gonna start with you on this, Kev. That we're getting both this year. Xbox is going to be at both. I know Sony's going to be at Summer Game Fest, not E3. Can these two coexist? Or where you at on the idea of having both?
I believe, yes, they can coexist. I prefer E3, but I think Jeff Keighley, if he does it right, it can do well. Because remember, E3 isn't really an investor show. It's not a show for gamers. Of course, they've altered it some so that gamers can, so it's watchable for gamers and we can enjoy it. And, that helps their marketing. It's part of their marketing push now. But ultimately, it's for investors. I think what Jeff Keighley can do and can cultivate is it becoming like a festival, like a summer festival for gamers, a fan show that just highlights and shows new games, new technology. Maybe we get new consoles, controllers, whatever. Through the Summer Games Fest, and hopefully this I don't know, maybe makes both of them improve their shows a little bit. Maybe it'll be better for some developers, like, hey, maybe they weren't ready for E3 and now, but it's just going to be another show like Gamescom. We get that in the summer. We get PAX West early September. Maybe this is just going to be another avenue for other developers. I think in particular indie developers will probably do really well with the Summer Game Fest.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. They do extremely well there because you're not gonna, unless you get on like Microsoft or Sony stage, and even then your indie game probably isn't going to compete with Halo Infinite.
Yeah, it's going to be part of a sizzle reel.
With God of exactly. It's going to be part of a sizzle reel. It's going to be blown out by God of War or whatever. So I think the idea of having both is great, especially I don't want I forget what the Xbox show was called. Like Sony has the State of Play and Nintendo has the Direct
event, the XO,
and then the Xbox had like their like hour-long deals. I never thought they were very good. I never liked them. So to do so, I'd rather have them focus on like a big show like this, and then maybe do XO at the end of the year.
Got it. Okay, nothing wrong with that. So there's room for everybody. I agree to a point. That I guess my only stipulation would be, I guess what news is where, and like how it gets presented as well. Because you're right. Because I mean, to be fair, we're not used to Summer Games Fest. We're not used to the way that works. Last year was the first time we've ever had that. So and E3 is just familiar. There's a familiarity.
Exactly.
So I think a lot of it has to do with that. But I agree with you on one point that I think a lot of the smaller devs can benefit from the Summer Games Fest because it's you get more of a spotlight. You can kind of have your own little, not little, but your own, show, your own segment. You get a, I don't know, maybe a different audience. E3 is kind of like you said, the Super Bowl. Like you gotta, it takes a little bit. That's a completely different level before you can get up there. So I don't know. I agree with you for the most part, though. So
exactly. I like to think of it more like I'm a basketball guy. So I think of Summer Games Fest is like the NCAA tournament and March Madness, as opposed to the EA3 being like the NBA Finals or the NBA playoffs.
I'm a basketball guy. I love that analogy. That was perfect. That's perfect. But all right, let's go ahead and throw this over to you then, Pong. Get your quick opinion. Now we're getting both, Pong. I mean, I feel like because we didn't really talk about this. We never considered that even when they announced, when ESA came and said, hey, we're doing an E3 this year, it's going to be digital. We never really even thought about, we're going to have both, like Summer Games Fest as well. So where are you at on this? And like, do you think they can coexist as well?
Oh, yeah, and I expected it. I don't know who ever thought that Jeff Keighley's ego was going to allow him to give it up. So
he saw an opportunity last year. He's like,
he's all in now. We're getting this every single year from here on out until he dies. I mean, that's it. So, no, I mean, from the standpoint, of course they can coexist. Again, and just looking at the list of companies that have signed up with his Summer Game Fest, it's obvious they do too. He's going to have, he said, 12 plus world premieres there. Yeah. So I think the companies are just using this as like a warm up show, because I think his is the 10th, am I correct? The 9th or the 10th leading into E3. So he's going to be like the warm up show. And then you'll have the big show, right? So I definitely think there's a spot for both. The more the merrier for me. The more places I get to see, especially since they're going to kind of do it all together. And we're not going to have
so
like
the Games Fest is not going to be spread out this year. It'll be one.
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
one whole thing, and for me,
cool.
that's cool. Yeah,
Cool,
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
I didn't see that changes my my perspective. I didn't realize that. I'm thinking we're still getting to spread out.
Yeah, no, I think he came out and said that today. I think he's going to be the lead up kind of the E3 to the main weekend there.
That's an interesting idea. I kind of like that.
Yeah. No, that works for me. Again, that's something that, drove me crazy last year was, it's great to have little bits and bites here and there, but really I want that big experience. I want that, that whole Christmas kind of week for gamers.
Dude. It's like
Christmas. It is. It's crazy. And I think it's important because you get the focused attention from everybody. And this year we've heard how E3 is really going all out and wants the worldwide audience, right? So we usually have a lot of, different shows that kind of take different parts of the world, whether it's Europe or Japan or whatever the case. We have different shows for those areas, but they want to make E3 as global as possible so that everybody focuses their attention on this. And I think that's important for the industry, especially with how big they're getting at this point. Now that they have basically taken over as kind of the front runner when it comes to content and media and what people are consuming these days, especially after the pandemic. I think it's important that you have this moment during the year where all eyes are focused on you. And yes, I know E3 did not start out this way, but it's transformed into this big event like this for more than just obviously the investors. This is for everybody, and especially the gamers, and that's why we see what we see in the presentations that we see here now, and why they become so big. That's why you have Keanu walking out on stage and that kind of stuff, because that's what drives your hype for the remaining portion of the year into holiday season, and then obviously the future stuff that you choose to show. That right there is a big time need to have a spotlight on that. And if you get it all together for the most part in one kind of dump, you have everybody's attention, because when you space them out, a lot of people have different things going on. Not everybody watches all the time. Everybody's like, oh, I didn't even know a show was coming up. Oh, how many times last year was like, really? We got a show this week? What's going on? It was like, what? when did they announce this? It was hard to keep track of. Whereas if you just have one big event, most people can tune in for that and see everything that you're trying to show. So it's huge for me, but I definitely think that both can coexist. I think they're going to coexist well. I think Keeley probably knows his role at this point. Now that E3 is kind of back, and with Nintendo going back to E3 and stuff, it kind of gives it even a bigger kind of feel this time around. I know we still don't have Sony there, but you know what? They're going to be at the Summer Games Fest and do their thing whenever they're going to do their thing. But I think E3 feels big because last year, I think a lot of people realized, even though there had been talk about whether or not we needed E3, I think last year showed a lot of these companies and developers and publishers that yes, E3 is a great thing to have, and we should probably keep it around and keep supporting it from here on out.
I agree. We talked about that. I remember specifically this before, obviously you were part of the podcast. Yeah. Fuzz, you remember that conversation we had, Fuzz? That was a topic on the show right around this time last year. Is E3 necessary? Is E3? So and I absolutely am on the side that it is. I feel like it is. We don't get many of these events. We just don't in the video game space. So being a fan, I want this. I don't want this huge event to go away. Like I absolutely don't. So the fact that this is going to be a digital event, I didn't know that Summer Games Fest is going to be a kind of a condensed all together event, kind of greasing the wheels for E3. That's a dope idea. I do like that format as opposed to them spreading it out and Jeff doing a mini shows every other day or something along those lines. So I think that's a dope idea. I think that fits what, Jeff, that still gives him the look he wants as far as, hey, I'm here too. Like I'm
just saying ego boost. Yeah.
No, listen. So I don't want to take away from all, because he's a staple in the industry. He's gotten where he's got because of the hard work. I'm not saying you're not saying any down talking him, because you're not. No. I'm just saying that people he's kind of fun to talk about sometimes, but ultimately that man is an integral part of the industry. Whether or not you think he is, he absolutely is, and he hasn't gotten to where he at.
The VGAs are a bigger part
Than
of
the
the
Oscars.
industry than
They're bigger than the
and they're a bigger deal to the industry than most people realize. But
Yeah.
now people are starting to understand when you get this big as an industry, and you need people out there that are going to bring it to the forefront, to the mainstream. And he did that with the VGAs. It was
Absolutely.
an important vehicle, no matter what you think about the guy personally.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll take that stance to my grave. I mean, you don't have to respect his stances and his alliances, but ultimately he's done a lot for the industry, more than a lot of people. A lot of people. So give him credit where credit is due. But let's go ahead and throw this over. Fuzz, did we? I don't think we got to you, Fuzz, right?
No.
All right. Go ahead, bro.
I would say for the most part, I'm leaning mainly E3. Although the change of venue, or the change of how the Summer Game Fest is handled, instead of it being spread out the entire month or so, with it being a condensed event, that's him learning. That's Keeley is going to, whether you like him or not, he's always learning and tweaking things to better the show or better the presence for whatever he's involved in. So having this as possible for competition for E3 will hopefully inspire them to make their show even better. Looking forward to, down the road, it being, open to public again. Well, not to the general public, and even not necessarily the general public, as far as like, reporters and whatnot, and industry people. But I'm leaning more towards looking forward to the E3 show. The Summer Game Fest will be a nice warm up. It's one of those things where, give it 2 or 3 years, if E3 doesn't, adjust or grow with the times, as far as some of the things that they've done in the past for their shows versus what they need to do to kind of bring back some of that main focus to their show, then unfortunately the Summer Game Fest will be the ultimate replacement, which I'm not really looking forward to. But having 2 game shows, or not game shows, but shows about games, it in itself is exciting. But I'm more, I guess, in tune with the week-long show. Like me being a car fan, it's almost like the SEMA show. If you don't know what the SEMA show is, it's where all the aftermarket manufacturers that make parts for your cars, or make some of the cool cars you see on some of the build shows and things like that, they display all the stuff that they have new for that year, or builds that they have been working on and things like that. More so for those in the industry that resell the parts. So not necessarily the Pep Boys of the world, but the shops where you go to get your car tuned, customized, headers, exhaust, and all that stuff. That's basically their version of E3, or E3's version of that type of show. But man, I can't wait for the E3 show, considering, yes, Sony's not going to be there. They're going to be at Summer Game Fest. Sony can do their own thing. They could probably just put their stuff on YouTube, and it would still, hit their audience, or the target audience that they're looking to get anyway. But I just like the fact that this year E3, you're going to have Nintendo and Xbox there.
We don't know
next year
to what
Sony will be convinced
capacity
to be a part of
Nintendo
it as well. But
we don't know to what capacity we might get just a VHS tape from Nintendo.
But just that they are, willing to be a part of that announcement.
True.
Hey,
True.
that's a step in the
Absolutely.
right direction for both E3 and for fans that just want to, consume all the gaming, news for the coming year or for the upcoming holiday, even if it's just a 30-second, peek at, hey, this is what we're working on, and it's not cardboard, that'll be enough for me. But it's great that there are both shows, but I'm an E3 fan all through and through. I hope they get everything in line, and hopefully we can get back to some form of normal. So next year we can go there in person. I'm definitely going to try my hand at going or attending, but looking forward to E3. Summer Game Fest, nice warm up. One will be the appetizer, and the other one would be the main course. That's how I'll look at it.
That the balance remains to be seen, because you brought up a great. Oh, go ahead, Pong. You sound like you got
I was just going to jump in here real quick. I just looked it up to make sure that obviously we know what exactly is going on here. So their whole kickoff live is the 10th. Okay, so they're doing a world premiere showcase. They're doing performance with Weezer, great, and Day of the Devs and more, right? And that's their big kickoff, right? But they are still okay. So then the 12th, they do the Ubisoft Forward. Okay, so Ubisoft is doing their own forward again. Then they partnered with Steam, which is having their next fest, 6 days, hundreds of different demos for Steam. That's going to happen June 16th. And then EA is still doing their dang EA Play Live thing on July 22nd, way far away.
Way later. Wow.
Yeah, way later. EA is still doing that crazy thing. So it is the main show, though, is going to be your pre-show for E3, which is a good news. So yeah.
Okay. So now that we have that information, I don't want to cut you off. Us, were you?
No, that I'm good. Let Centurion get in here on this as well.
I want to double back to Kev real quick, and then we'll get to Centurion and wrap things up. But Kev, real quick here. Now that you have that information from Pong, does that change anything for you as far as the I don't know if you knew any of that before about how things are supposed to be spaced out, or even about E3. So does that change your perspective at all, or no? You still?
No, I still think we generally need both. Actually, with E3 trying to go towards a more global audience, I think it makes my basketball reference even more relevant. They want to be the NBA Finals, they want to be the Super Bowl, and as big as the NCAA tournament is, it ain't a Super Bowl.
No, you're right. You're right. Absolutely. No, true. There's really no way around that. There's no way around. So, okay. No, I agree. Let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Centurion. Get your opinion, brother. Just these two events. So I know you're not the biggest Jeff Keighley fan, Centurion. So just try.
The sneakers, though.
Oh man, I guess I've given myself that image.
No, you're good.
I like Jeff Keighley. I like Jeff Keighley. I like what he's done for the industry. I will say he definitely got some brownie points when Kojima did not get Game of the Year, even though he was in the game. I was one of those with my tinfoil hat on, convinced that Jeff Keighley had the system rigged, and so I was completely wrong. And I will open that up to anybody. But there is a really cool Jeff Keighley photo floating around of him sitting there with some Doritos and Mountain Dew. Everybody should check out. That was back during his days when he was hyping Halo. Anyway, so oh man, Summer of Games and E3. As much as Jeff Keighley himself wants to be an icon in the gaming industry, E3 already is, in my opinion. It's been around for a long time. I like how Kev brought up it used to be a developers conference. It used to be a way of, it wasn't really meant for the public, and it grew into this I don't want to call it a spectacle, but it grew into a fan-based thing because there was a lot of interest from the fans that wanted to get in. I think both can coexist. I do like how Pong pointed out that a majority of it is going to be like the warm-up for E3, and I really do like how I like all the points here. I really can't go above and beyond what Kev said, that this is the Super Bowl, the NBA Finals, I really do believe that E3 should be a standout show, just like Gamescom is. And I really, really do hope that this whole situation reinvigorated E3. And was it called the ESA, or who's actually in charge of E3?
It's ESA.
The ESA. So because, I'm not going to hold anything anybody did last year against them. Last year, everybody had the carpet pulled out from underneath them, like, hey, stage lights off. You guys aren't doing nothing here. You guys need to figure it out. Pretty much that was thrown in everybody's lap. So, I say bravo to anybody who was able to get a show out in those kind of circumstances. This year, we're going to definitely see, I think, a lot better production value when it comes to these digital shows. We're going to see a lot more interactiveness. And I do see them wanting to hit more of a global presence, because gaming is pretty much exploding worldwide. I don't care really where you're from. Gaming is a really big connection for a lot of cultures to bond around. And so I'm really glad to see that maybe the ESA is seeing the light at the end of the tunnel and is really wanting to broaden their perspectives and really kind of reinvigorate E3 in a way that we've all talked about. Because, what did we all talk about how E3 was back in the day? I've never been to E3. I used to be enamored by E3 until I started talking to people who really went there. And they're like, well, it's in this convention center that's held across the street from Microsoft's convention center. Microsoft's convention center is really great, but E3's it's kind of old. You know, when you hear them describe it, you're just like, really? It's like that. Like when you hear people really describe E3, you're just like, really? I never got that from the photos or like any of the stuff you'd really see.
Yeah, you don't really. It's a convention. Like it's a convention. That's what it is. Like so, long lines, long waits. You know, a bunch of people in a sweaty room. You know, like in a sweaty hall, conference hall, whatever you want to call it, expo. Yeah, it's not as glamorous as it looks on TV and in the pictures. You know, social media makes it look extremely, glamorous, but it's not as glamorous. Still an exciting event either way.
I see E3 coexisting with Summer Game Fest because, these digital events, fans really love them. What I question is what kind of brick and mortar style game festival are we going to see that is actually going to be, physically in a convention center, somewhere you can actually travel to get some flair, get some swag, shake hands with a couple executives, take photos with guys dressed up in costumes that you wish you could have built in your spare time.
I think maybe we see that at PAX, one of the PAX shows. I think PAX will maybe will be one of the first ones to come back and do like an actual show, like in person.
That's where I'm wanting to know when we're going to probably see the first event want to take that big dive of like, no, we're going to have a physical presence.
We'll see. That remains to be seen. A lot of it that's out of our control. As much as out of our control as possible. But yeah, but either way, man. Either way, it's once again that was the last topic. We're gonna wrap this thing up. But man, it's been a phenomenal show. All the topics were lit. The chat was lit. We appreciate you guys that have watched, man. Everybody has stopped in. Like I said, our guest was amazing. We're gonna go ahead and go around the panel. I just want to say thank you. And on the way out, guys, make sure you hit the subscribe and like button as well. You guys have been amazing. Show was lit as hell today, man. So we're gonna go ahead and just go start with our guests. Once again, we'll start with you, Kev. Appreciate you taking your time to hang out with us here, man. It was a great show. I hope you had a great time. You're welcome on the show at any time. So you never know, you might get a DM from me saying, hey, you busy this week, brother. But let everybody know where they can find you once again. And once again, I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. Had a great time. Shout out to, of course, all the panel members. Also, I've got to shout out my squad, the troubleshooters. We always out here gaming every weekend. Myself, Hustle and Motivate, Erica's for the Win, Audible. And I know I'm going to probably forget somebody. There's 7 of us. So shout out to all of them as well. You can find me on Twitter and YouTube at GloriousKev, just how it sounds. And yeah, I'm usually out here, like I said, talking these games. I stream quite a bit of games, just kind of from everywhere. I've been playing been streaming a lot of Halo lately. Been streaming Mass Effect, obviously, as I've been talking about. And yeah, that's what I got. So we'll see you guys online.
Appreciate it, man. Once again, you guys do me a favor. If you're a fan of the show here, please go show that man some love and support. Got a lot of great content. I'm a new fan of his as well, so I'm diving into that archive, Kev, of old videos, man. But I appreciate you coming in. Super talented, just a well-spoken guy, a true gamer. He really does this video game shit, so don't get it fucked up. But we appreciate you here, Kev, hanging out with us, man. We're gonna go ahead and throw this over to you, Pong, man. Busy guy. All week, man, always doing a damn thing, but appreciate you showing up here on the Shop Podcast consistently, brother. Let everybody know where you cooking up at.
Yeah, no problem, PTK. What a great Saturday night. One more time with my brothers here on the Shop Podcast. And obviously, Kev, it was an absolute pleasure, man. Really appreciate all your thoughts, man. And the humor you brought to the show. It was fantastic to have you here. So I'll definitely be checking out some of your work as well. Yeah, you can catch me at Pong Soul everywhere on Xbox and Twitter. Otherwise, Tuesdays, back at it with Xbox Factor Podcast with Mr. Boomstick and Zemi Games. That is Tuesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. And then on Fridays with Xbox Ultimate with Fun Speculation, a.k.a. Mav, Caitlin, his beautiful wife, and the rest of the Magnificent Seven. That is at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 o'clock Central Time. And then Saturday mornings, myself and Steel Rain are bringing the energy, waking you guys up, living split screen being all one word. And that starts at 9 a.m. Central Time, 10 a.m. Eastern time, 3 p.m. UK time. So come check us out. We're growing. We just did episode 9 this morning. Fantastic show. I just love this show. It's exactly what we wanted to do, and we're just having a really great time with it. So come check us out. And then, of course, back here next Saturday night, the Shop Podcast with all these great gentlemen and chat. You guys were awesome. A lot of good discussions in there tonight. Always love to see all the beautiful friendly faces out there that come by and see us each and every week. Thank you so much. We love you. We appreciate you, and nothing but respect for the support that you give us. So you know what? Go out, play some games, have a good time, play what you love what you play, and we'll talk to you next week.
Damn it, I can wrap the show up on that. Nobody else needs to say anything. Shout out to you, Pong. Appreciate you, brother, man. Once again, he's a star, man. It's just what he is. It's what he is. But anyway, shout out to you, Pong. Appreciate you, brother. I got to throw it in there. I got to mess with you, but I appreciate you, man. Man, we're gonna throw this over to Centurion, man. My other local brother. You know, me and Centurion literally live down the street from each other, man. But appreciate you here every single week, man. Doing the damn thing, providing great energy every week. You know, fucking super smart, super intelligent, man. Knows what he's talking about, man. So don't get into the arguments on Twitter. You might get embarrassed. But go ahead, Centurion.
Hey, thank you for the kind words, man. But again, really, thank you for allowing me to be here every Saturday. It has been an absolute pleasure. I look forward to this every week, being able to just sit here, talk games, and meet incredible new people like Kev here. So it was an honor, sir, to meet you and conversate with you and talk about gaming. It just totally excites me how this one hobby can bring so many people together from all over. For those interested in finding me, please be sure to find me at Centurion1307 on YouTube, Twitter, and Xbox Live. You can also find me here every Saturday night right here on the Shop Podcast and every Sunday night on the TXR Podcast.
Awesome. Shout out to TXR too, man. Everybody over there, the OGs. That's a lot of OGs over there at TXR. But appreciate you, man, once again, Centurion. And we're going to smooth this thing out with Fuzz. Let everybody know what's going on with you, brother.
Oh, man, this was awesome being on here. Thanks for joining us, Kev. It was awesome having this conversation about gaming with you guys. Always look forward to, talking on this show, just, going over the past, week's news as far as gaming and stuff. So it's always, the highlight of the week. But awesome being on here with you guys. You can always catch me on Twitter, usually posting pics or arguing with people bad-mouthing devs about games that they probably won't even play anyway. On Twitter at @fuzzy_Belvedere. You can catch me on PSN at @fuzzy_Belvedere or on Xbox Live, Fuzzy Space Belvedere. More than likely playing Forza or Division 2 until Biomutant comes out, and then I'm zero life in it after that. But man, awesome show. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for everybody that came out in the chat. Everything was awesome, man. Just perfect.
Awesome. And last but not least, your host with the most, PTK Blam. Like I said, always across the board on Twitter, here on Xbox Live. Just hit me up here, as well as appreciate you guys coming out to support the channel every single week, man. I'm going to drop another video. You guys are getting another video tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. I'm putting it out there because I'm holding myself to that. I got a lot I want to talk about, so appreciate the support on the singular videos too. I'm going to be doing those more often. You guys have been loving them, so I'm going to keep doing them, so look out for more of those. Poll of the week every single Monday as well. But ultimately, we love you guys so fucking much because you guys show us energy. You guys come out and support us every week, and we appreciate it. But enjoy the rest of your weekend. We are out of here, everybody. Same place, same time next week. Peace out.